Optimism for the Browns. I feel more optimistic than national people think. I thought the rookies looked good today. Schlesinger and Fannin looked really good, and Graham. I think they're going to get a big influx of young talent, and I think they'll be better than people think. I don't think we're going to the Super Bowl. I hope we can, but I think Coach has done a good job of getting this team ready, and we've got 2 weeks now to talk about all this, which we absolutely will. And
why would the Browns bring in one of the hottest college quarterbacks in the nation just to bury him on the bench? From the second Shedeur Sanders touchdown in Cleveland, fans expected fireworks, highlight reels, and a new era. But instead, what they got was pure confusion. No first-team reps, tossed into a preseason game behind third-string linemen and wideouts who couldn't shake a defender if their career depended on it. 4 pass attempts. That's all they gave him before critics jumped in saying he wasn't ready. Even insiders at ESPN are now side-eyeing Cleveland, hinting this wasn't just bad management, it looked deliberate. With others getting endless chances, why did it feel like the Browns were trying to break Shedeur before he even got started? And here's the kicker. This all came after a college career that had the entire country watching. He was a headline magnet, a playmaker who turned every game into must-see TV. So what really happened in Cleveland? Was it tough love, some twisted test of humility, or are we witnessing something darker unfolding behind closed doors? Because let's keep it real. For a quarterback this gifted, this treatment doesn't add up. And honestly, it might just be the start of a much bigger story. From the outside, Sanders walking into Browns camp looked like the spark of something legendary. A proven leader, a precision passer, and a quarterback with the kind of presence you simply can't teach. But almost immediately the vibe felt off. Despite all the hype, all the buzz, and fans begging to see him run with the starters, Shedeur was buried deep in the depth chart, stuck with the third-string squad. No chemistry, no protection, no chance to shine. It wasn't development. It looked like sabotage.
And Joe looked nice on that touchdown throw to Harold Fannin Jr., who also looked nice. But good job there. Dillon Gabriel got to play with the twos. Remember, kids, Dillon Gabriel has had 3 offenses and offensive coordinators, 60-plus games in college, 3 different schools. He looks well prepared.
Now compare this to Dillon Gabriel, another rookie, but his path looked way smoother. He got steady runs with the second team, real protection from a sharper line, and reps with receivers who actually had time to build chemistry. Gabriel was set up to shine under the lights, while Shedeur Sanders, not even close. And the crazy part, nobody from the Browns staff even addressed it. No press conference, no clear explanation, just dead silence, like they wanted the questions to fade away. For a player with Sanders' pedigree, that wasn't just unusual, it was unheard of. As training camp crept toward its final stretch, fans could see the truth. Shedeur wasn't being groomed to compete, he was being iced out, and things were about to get even more suspicious once real game time hit. When the Browns finally tossed Shedeur into a preseason game, people thought they'd finally see him silence the doubters. But the audition he got didn't look like a fair test. It looked like a setup. Gabriel was out there with capable receivers and a line built to protect, while Sanders was stuck behind a patchwork third-string unit, players just trying to avoid getting cut. From the very first snap, it was chaos. Receivers couldn't create separation. The pocket collapsed before he could even set his feet. There was no rhythm, no chance to settle in. The stat sheet told the story. 2 completions on 4 attempts, a grand total of 7 yards, a 56.2 passer rating, and 1 brutal sack from a collapsing O-line with 0 protection. Critics jumped in instantly, calling it a flop, but anyone with football sense knew better. Sanders wasn't outplayed. He was out-resourced. You don't test a Ferrari engine by strapping flat tires on it. His frustration showed, not in his body language, but in the way he kept forcing plays that just weren't there. And who wouldn't?
Shedeur, my guy. Shedeur played with the 3s. He looked frustrated, certainly. They weren't in sync. Throw the ball away, Shedeur. He had one of those negative plays, which is the knock on him. It's not a bad play to throw the ball away. Got a little humble pie, but no problem. No problem. Your career will not be defined by a second half of a 3rd preseason game playing with 3rd stringers.
These weren't NFL caliber starters, not even solid backups. So how can you fairly judge a quarterback when you throw him into a no-win situation from the jump? That's exactly what had fans furious, until finally someone inside the system broke the silence, and it wasn't just any voice. It was ESPN's own Tony Rizzo, a Cleveland veteran who's been covering the Browns for years. His comments didn't sugarcoat a thing. He confirmed what fans had suspected all along. Rizzo didn't sugarcoat a thing. He put the Browns on blast. He pointed out the obvious. Shedeur Sanders looked frustrated, the offense was out of rhythm, and the whole unit was completely out of sync. But what really shook fans wasn't just his breakdown of the game, it was the comparisons he made. Dillon Gabriel looked calm, comfortable, and protected behind a steady line, while Shedeur was tossed into straight-up chaos. And here's the twist, Rizzo didn't blame Sanders at all. Instead, he dropped a line that had everyone buzzing. This won't define your career. You just got a little humble pie today. And that's not a bad thing. Wait, humble pie? That comment set off a storm online. Was this the Browns' plan all along, to humble Shedeur Sanders? Was it a calculated move to test his ego and send a message, rather than give him a fair shot? Because let's be real, this wasn't about talent, it was about tone. Coaches stayed quiet, but Rizzo's words gave fans a rare peek inside the building, and it didn't look good. If this was supposed to be a development year, why waste an entire preseason game just to play mind games with a rookie's confidence? The more people looked at it, the less it felt like football, and the more it looked like something deeper. A quiet takedown in plain sight. Was Shedeur Sanders ever meant to succeed in Cleveland?
I want to see how Shedeur reacts and adapts to this. This was not the success. He had success in his first game. So let's see.
From the jump, it looked mismatched. Drafted for headlines, hyped for publicity, but never actually given the platform to compete. No first-team reps, no real support, no system designed to highlight his skills. Instead, it felt like they were exposing his flaws on purpose. And now the whispers are getting louder. Analysts and fans are connecting dots others won't say out loud. That Sanders was never in a real quarterback battle. This wasn't about picking the best QB out of 4. It was about putting Shedeur in his place. Some reports claim the organization wanted to humble him. Others suggest he was drafted more for the marketing buzz than the position itself. Nothing has been officially confirmed, but come on, the signs are too loud to ignore. He was boxed out of first-team snaps, thrown into games without protection, and treated with a dismissive tone instead of developmental support. And the double standard? Clear as day. When Gabriel forces a risky throw, it's called taking chances. When Shedeur tries the same, it's painted as a mistake. When Shedeur Sanders gets sacked behind a broken line, the narrative flips. Suddenly it's, he needs to play smarter. But let's be real. The deck wasn't shuffled, it was stacked. If this whole preseason was really a quiet attempt to clip his confidence before he even had the chance to get comfortable, then it speaks louder about the Browns than it does about Sanders. And now the pressure is real. Roster cuts are here, and the clock is ticking. Someone's about to be gone, and the million-dollar question is simple. What happens if it's Shedeur? The preseason is wrapping up, the tape is out, and the biggest week of camp is upon us, cut week. Across the league, brutal decisions are being made. Who stays, who goes, and who gets quietly stashed on a practice squad, hoping no other team swoops in. Cleveland's situation, pure chaos. 4 quarterbacks on the roster: Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco, Dillon Gabriel, and Shedeur Sanders. And there's no world where they keep all 4. Do the math. A move is coming fast. So what's really on the table? Keep Sanders? That means cutting a veteran, which feels unlikely. Practice squad? Risky. Because the second he clears waivers, another team could grab him. Trade? That's not just possible, it's smart, especially since buzz is already out there that other teams are watching closely. Cut him outright? That's the most dramatic and most controversial move of all. And here's why Cleveland can't just act like this is a small story. Shedeur Sanders isn't just another rookie. His father is Deion Sanders, one of the most famous names in sports. And Shedeur's college career already made him a headline magnet. He doesn't just bring talent, he brings attention, big attention. Other franchises know exactly what that means, and some might be waiting, ready to pounce. So imagine this, Cleveland lets him walk, and he lands on a squad that actually develops young quarterbacks, gives him real reps, and surrounds him with weapons. Suddenly, the Browns aren't just losing a rookie, they're losing the quarterback they never even gave a fair chance. That's not just bad optics, that's a nightmare scenario. No matter what happens this week, whether Sanders stays, gets traded, or gets picked up somewhere else, one thing is already clear. Cleveland's handling of this situation is about to define their season. This moment won't define Shedeur Sanders, because if we're keeping it real, he was never built for easy roads. At Jackson State, people trashed his competition, and what did he do? Shattered records and made history. At Colorado, folks doubted his transition, and he turned primetime Saturdays into must-watch TV, showing composure, leadership, and star power on the biggest stage. Now it's the NFL, the stakes are higher, but the formula is the same. Get in, take the tests, then take over. One awkward preseason game in Cleveland doesn't erase his pedigree. How many superstars were overlooked early on? Patrick Mahomes rode the bench behind Alex Smith. Tom Brady was a sixth-round nobody before becoming the GOAT. Even legends started slow. Sometimes the system isn't made for you, but that doesn't mean you fold. It means you find the right system that unleashes you. Because Shedeur isn't just a quarterback. He's a brand, a leader, and a headline magnet. In the right offense, with the right coaches, he won't just survive, he'll explode. Maybe Cleveland was never the destination. Maybe this was the wake-up call before the breakthrough. History doesn't remember preseason stumbles. It remembers the rise after the struggle. Let's not twist it. The reps were limited, the playing field wasn't even, and the whole situation reeked of politics, perception, or flat-out poor planning. What went down in Cleveland wasn't a fair quarterback battle. It was a showcase of double standards, but maybe that's exactly what fuels Sanders. Because some players break under criticism, while others transform it into hunger, grit, and the edge that turns prospects into legends. Shedeur never asked for a handout. All he wanted was a fair shot. And if the Browns won't give it, another team will. He's got the arm, the leadership, the charisma, and a nationwide following. That's rare for any rookie. That's not just value. That's untapped potential waiting to explode under the right lights. And if he lights it up somewhere else, the Browns will be forced to live with the receipts. So here's the real question. What will this moment say about Cleveland? Because this isn't just football, it's about how organizations overlook talent, how narratives are crafted before players get a fair chance, and how sometimes the underdog isn't proving he's good enough. He's proving he should have been respected all along. But what do you think? Did Cleveland sabotage Shedeur, or is this just the setup for his breakout elsewhere? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and keep it locked right here, because this story is far from over.